Good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 30th of March. I'm Yael Shir, and this is IBA News, broadcasting live from Jerusalem. It appears the threat of elections has been averted, and the crisis surrounding the fate of public broadcasting in Israel is nearing its end, following a series of meetings between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Finance Minister Moshe Kahlon. According to a draft compromise agreement, the launching of the new Israel Broadcast Corporation, known as Ta'agid in Hebrew, will be delayed by up to 1 month, and it will begin operations possibly as early as the 15th of May. An independent news division will be established that combines workers from both the IBA and the IPBC. The news division will not be under the current IPBC management, but run by candidates selected by a senior judicial committee. The current heads of the new corporation will remain in their positions, but will have no say in the news division. The controversial communications regulation bill, spearheaded by the Prime Minister, will be shelved. Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit has approved the initial agreement in principle. Speaking to reporters, coalition head David Bitan said he is satisfied with the compromise, which suits the demands raised by the Likud party and Finance Minister Kahlon. Bitan added the deal prevents going to early elections and ensures the continuation of a strong coalition that works in the best interest of the state. More details of the compromise deal have yet to be released, but if you're wondering what this means for us here at the IBA English News channel, unfortunately it doesn't sound too good, since the new corporation has clearly said it has no intention of broadcasting English news on television. But as the saying goes, especially here in Israel, it's never over till it's over. Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed today that he would keep his promise and create a new settlement in the West Bank aimed at housing the 40 families evicted from the ammonia outpost. He made the announcement to reporters before meeting with the president of Slovakia this morning. Later today, he is expected to convene the security cabinet, where he is reportedly seeking approval for the new settlement. The Prime Minister is also expected to update the security cabinet ministers on discussions with Washington over construction in Judea and Samaria. The latest move comes after U.S. President Donald Trump asked Netanyahu last month for Israel to hold back on settlement construction. If approved, this will be the first new settlement built in the territories in over 25 years. Former bankruptcy lawyer David Friedman was sworn in as the next U.S. ambassador to Israel yesterday, becoming the first ambassador chosen by U.S. President Donald Trump to take office. A long-standing supporter of the State of Israel and a vocal proponent of Israeli causes, he favors moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and supports continued settlement construction. Friedman faced stark opposition to his appointment, which was narrowly approved by the U.S. Senate in a vote of 52 to 46. After Trump's nomination as the Republican candidate, Friedman visited Israel, where he met with political leaders and vowed that Trump would stand by his promise to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Friedman is expected to arrive in Israel after the upcoming Passover holiday.
We've always been quick to rise to Israel's defense from those who would condemn her, because in your heart you know that those that hate Israel not for what she does wrong, but for what she does right.
My thanks to President Trump for his courageous leadership, his friendship, and his guidance. I am humbled by the trust he has placed in me, and I will do everything that I can to justify his faith and confidence in my abilities. I'm very proud to say that my nomination represents the first time in American history that the U.S. ambassador to Israel was nominated by the President as early as the first day of his presidency. I was nominated on January 20th, on Inauguration Day. I'm equally proud to say that this is the first time in American history that the U.S. ambassador to Israel was the first ambassador approved by the Senate and given the oath of office. Those facts speak volumes about how highly the Trump-Pence administration prioritizes our unbreakable bond with the State of Israel.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration's special envoy for international relations, Jason Greenblatt, paid a quick visit to Jerusalem yesterday on his way back to Washington from Jordan, where he attended the Arab League summit. He stopped by the International Convention Center in Jerusalem to get a special blessing from Rabbi Gershon Edelstein of the Povin Yeshiva. Greenblatt asked the rabbi for his advice on kickstarting peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. In a Twitter video, Greenblatt is seen asking the rabbi in Hebrew, "How will I have the ability and brains to do so?" The rabbi responded that a person who intends to do good receives divine assistance in achieving his goals. The special envoy then headed back to the U.S. He did not meet any Israeli officials on his trip. Speaking at the second annual Ambassadors Against BDS, hosted by the Israeli delegation that took place at the United Nations Security Council headquarters in New York yesterday, Israel's ambassador, Danny Danon, warned against remaining complacent, despite the many victories against those who delegitimize Israel. He stated that the real danger of BDS is not their numbers, but their ability to cower to those who support Israel into silence. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, received a standing ovation at the event, where she vowed to defend Israel and fight against BDS.
Every day, you know it, every day academic and religious groups, student unions and investment firms are falling prey to boycott calls. They want to strip stores of Israeli products, force musicians to cancel their concerts in Israel, and bully companies into abandoning Israeli markets. The real danger of BDS is not in their numbers. It's not in the numbers or even in their threats. It is in their ability to cower us into silence. If we do not stand up strongly, if we do not speak the truth on campuses, in the boardroom, and here in the UN, they will win. If students don't have the proper tools, they will choose to stay in the library rather than standing up for Israel during apartheid week. Executives who are not armed with the facts will choose to take their business elsewhere. It's much easier, rather than face protests outside their corporate headquarters. This is what the forces of BDS want. They hope that apathy will slowly turn the world against Israel. My friends, you must remember that silence is weakness. Silence is defeat. We are all here to say we will not be silent.
The effort to delegitimize the State of Israel being waged on college campuses and the anti-Israel obsession at the UN are one and the same. They both seek to deny Israel's right to exist. They are both efforts to intimidate her friends and embolden her enemies. They are both extensions of an ancient hatred. And how tragic is it that of all countries in the world to condemn for human rights violations, these voices choose to single out Israel? We should boycott North Korea. We should sanction Iran.
Israel has decided to slash $2 million from funds it allocates to the United Nations and instead will give the money to developing nations that support Israel and international organizations. A statement released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs yesterday said Prime Minister Netanyahu decided to approve the cut in response to the anti-Israeli resolutions passed last week in the UN Human Rights Council. The recent cut in funds is in addition to the $6 million Israel slashed in January in response to the passing of the anti-Israeli resolution number 2334 in December by the UN Security Council. The General Assembly requires that the 193 UN member states pay an annual percentage of the UN's budget based on their gross domestic product. The UN Charter asserts that countries who fail to pay the sum for 2 preceding years can lose their vote in a General Assembly. Israel's decision to slash more of its dues will put the country behind in its payments. However, it won't immediately lose its vote in the world body. Border police deployed outside the old city's Nablus gate fatally shot a Palestinian woman who attempted to stab a border police officer with scissors. Siham Nimer, 49, from the Shuafat camp in East Jerusalem and mother of 11, was treated by medics at the site but succumbed to her wounds. It was later revealed that last year her son Mustafa was accidentally shot dead by security forces who mistook him for a terrorist after his cousin rammed his car through a checkpoint. Only after the incident did it become apparent that Mustafa and his cousin were under the influence of drugs and alcohol. In a surprise move, the military court yesterday released a Palestinian policeman who was sentenced to life for his role in the brutal lynching and murders of 2 IDF reservists in Ramallah in October of 2000. The Army said the decision to release Haiti Mouari came after new evidence revealed he had not been among those who murdered the soldiers, but had beaten IDF reservist Yosef Abrahami before the soldiers were caught by a raging mob. The court decided to annul his original conviction of murder and replace it with charges of attacking a soldier and failing to prevent a crime. He was sentenced to 11.5 years in prison for the new offenses, but because he already served more than 15 years behind bars, he was released and expelled to the Gaza Strip. In October of 2000, IDF reservists Abrahami and Vadim Nurzitz had taken a wrong turn when they entered Ramallah. They were taken to a local Palestinian police station where they were viciously beaten to death by a raging mob and thrown from the second-story window. On hearing of the terrorist release, Abrahami's family expressed hopes that Israel would not allow him to roam freely for long. The Hamas propaganda machine continues with the release of a new video clip vowing to target top Israeli security officials in retaliation for the death of Mazan Fukaha, a member of the Hamas military wing gunned down outside his Gaza home last Friday. The video clip shows the faces of Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot, Head of Shin Bet Security Agency Nadav Argaman, Mossad Director Yossi Cohen, and several others. All of their faces are marked with targets, and the clip ends with the sentence, quote, "All types of retribution will be in accordance to the act." Arab leaders attending the conclusion of the annual Arab League summit in Jordan endorsed their commitment to a two-state solution to end the decades-long Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The leaders called for the start of a new round of peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians based on the Arab Peace Initiative of 2002. While expressing their support for an independent Palestinian state, they also criticized Israel over its settlement activity. A statement released at the end of the summit also called on countries not to relocate their embassies to Jerusalem and to honor all the UN Security Council resolutions.
The whole Arab world is standing behind the Arab Peace Initiative as the most comprehensive offer yet to reach lasting and comprehensive peace between Israel and all members of the Arab League. It is an initiative, as you know, that offers historic reconciliation between Israel and the whole Arab world, and it's also an initiative that has been endorsed by all members of the Islamic Conference Organization. So, yes, it is a message of peace, and yes, the Arab world is willing to engage in serious, direct negotiations with a view to reaching a solution on the basis of the two-state solution, which we believe is the only way to achieve peace between the two parties.
The Prime Minister's advisor on counterterrorism, Eitan Ben-David, has been named the new acting head of the National Security Council. Ben-David, a 54-year-old veteran of the Shin Bet, takes over from Yaakov Nagel, who stepped down citing personal reasons. As acting national security advisor, Ben-David will be one of Prime Minister Netanyahu's chief foreign policy advisors. A government statement said Ben-David will also continue to maintain his position as head of the Counterterrorism Bureau. The High Court of Justice has issued an interim order delaying next week's planned emptying of the Haifa ammonia tank. Earlier this month, the Haifa District Court ruled that the tank be closed down on the 1st of April. But according to the High Court's latest order, that won't be done at least until June. The Haifa Chemicals Company, which runs the tank, has in the meantime submitted a request to refill the facility with ammonia, saying the supply will significantly help factories which use ammonia to provide various industrial services. They say this will also allow more time to find an alternative plan to distribute the chemicals during emergencies. The Environmental Protection Minister needs to decide whether to approve the refill requests by the end of the day. Meanwhile, workers of the Haifa Chemicals tank continued their work protests against the planned closure and the laying off of the facility's some 1,500 workers. The Western Wall in Jerusalem's Old City was given a clean sweep ahead of the upcoming Passover holiday. Rabbi Shmuel Rabinowitz, the chief rabbi of the Kotel, oversaw workmen as they carefully removed thousands of notes placed between the cracks of the ancient stones. The messages to the Almighty are left by people who visit Judaism's holiest site. They're not read, but collected and buried on the Mount of Olives in order to make room for the additional notes. The cleanup ritual takes place twice a year before Rosh Hashanah and Pesach. The YMCA Jerusalem Youth Chorus is made up of young Jewish and Arab singers singing in Hebrew, Arabic, and English. We're very fortunate to have two members of the chorus here with us today, Avital and Minas, as well as founder and director, Micah Hendler. Good to have you here with us.
Thanks so much.
Micah, so can you tell us about this unique endeavor and how it started?
Sure. Ultimately, the chorus is a program that aims to bring together people from disparate backgrounds in Jerusalem, from East and West Jerusalem, ultimately to create both sort of friendships and personal relationships and also understanding of where each other comes from, what each other's realities are, and sort of use those relationships to spread a message through our performances on stage that a different reality is possible in Jerusalem.
Amazing. And how did this, how were you motivated to start this project? It's fantastic.
Thanks. Ultimately, it was the combination of all the things that I had experienced that were most powerful in my life at various points, whether it was music as a way of building community and finding community, or my experiences with various sort of dialogue groups that I was in through Seeds of Peace. It was very... I saw over the course of the years that if you took sort of the community building power of music and the personally transformative power of dialogue and put them together, you could really create a very powerful combination for creating life-changing experiences and a really powerful vehicle for spreading messages like the ones that we're spreading.
Amazing. Can we hear your singers chant their beautiful tune today?
Sure.
Adam ben Adam, zman pesek zman,
בונה את עולמו, פורח בגנו, كان في إنسان ضائع في هذا الزمان.
يا بني يعلموا يزرع ورد البستان. بليبي بجوفي برוחי בחלקי ארצנו דמנו נפשנו חיינו عالمنا في جسدي في روحي في عقلي أرضنا أنت في دمي أنت في روحي أنت معي. النور والحقيقة في الصحو أو في السكر في عيوني إحساسي أنت حبيبتي האמת והאור מפוכח או שיכור בעיניי רגשותיי את אהבתי أنت حبيبتي.
Wow. Amazing. Gorgeous. Thank you so much for singing with us here. Can I ask you some questions as well? So initially, what motivated you both to join this chorus?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I was in a program called Kids for Peace, which is also like a coexistence, bringing people together program. And when I heard about Micah's program, he came to my school and spoke about it. I thought, well, I like coexistence type things and I like singing, so let's give it a shot.
Great. Amazing.
Well, when Micah came to my school and talked about the program, I thought it was amazing because I did not, unlike Avital, I wasn't in programs with, other people, different people, and I thought it's, a great opportunity to also sing and to meet people.
Fantastic. Have either of you guys received any criticism for being in this choir? Or what has been the general reception that you've gotten?
Well, to me, we performed once in my high school, and I was made fun of for being in the choir.
Really?
But that's fine, because, like, they don't understand what it's like being in the choir. And my family, like, they love the choir. I have 3 other sisters in the choir, too. And my parents love the choir, so that's great.
And I personally haven't faced much criticism, thank goodness, but I have a friend who in her high school was very, very right-winged, and she had to fight a lot. She had arguments not only with her peers and fellow students, but with her teachers. She would tell me how she would stand up on tables at school and fight against her teachers when they would say racist and biased things against people who were her friends. She would just get up and say, no, you're wrong. I know these people. You can't say these types of things. And she actually was able to change a lot of people's minds in her school.
And she's a part of the choir?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Great to hear. So when is your next performance? You guys have a lot of dates coming up?
Yeah, we have a lot of gigs, a lot of different projects that we're involved in, and we actually have a concert on Sunday evening at 7 o'clock at the YMCA, and it's actually a very special concert because it's our album launch. We've recorded an album, a full-length studio album. Avital and Minas actually were part of the production team as well as being singers on the album. And so that will be the first opportunity for people in Jerusalem to hear the album. So it's a very exciting time for us.
And how will they get tickets? How can they?
It's free and open to everyone. So you can just come to the YMCA on King David Street at 7 o'clock on Sunday.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us today.
Thanks very much.
Really great to have you. Beautiful.
Thanks.
So, in local money matters, shares were mixed on the last day of the trading week on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, while the shekel was up in foreign currency trading. Here are the late afternoon numbers. Turning to the forecast, the IBA weather team says tonight will be partly cloudy with a fog in northern Negev and a chance of light rain. Tomorrow there will be a drop in temperatures with scattered showers and a chance of thunderstorms. Here's a look at the highs and lows for the next 24 hours at home and abroad. That's all for this newscast. Join us again on Sunday, same time, same channel. Until then, I'm Yael Shir wishing you a good evening and Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem.